Hey guys, Alan here. Just been doing some bench testing of the motor and Hitachi sensorless vector drive inverter. Um, been working on it for yesterday and today. Got everything wired up and it's running good. Just basically doing a bench test here. I've got a 30 amp fusible disconnect switch wired up, single phase, 30 amp fuses going into the single phase input on the VFD, and then of course ground wire, and then ground wire going to the motor, and then 3 phases of the motor hooked up basically, and I'm just controlling it through the front panel on the inverter. So mostly what I've been doing is programming the inverter to work with the motor. It's running in sensorless vector mode with a 15 kilohertz base carrier frequency. So I'm running it at the base frequency of the motor right now at 60 hertz. I can run it all the way down to 4 hertz, which is the minimum RPM for the motor. At 4 hertz, it's going to be spinning at about 90 RPM. I've got a piece of tape on there. I'm having trouble measuring the lower RPMs with this phototac for some reason. It shows it's doing about 100, and I don't think that's accurate. It jumps all over the place. Should be about 90 RPM at that speed, or at that frequency rather. Because I'm running it in sensorless vector mode, it should have lots of torque, even at that speed. Now the plan is to do a 1:1.5 pulley ratio, which means you're going to add half to this. So, like my low speed's probably going to be somewhere around 150 RPM, maybe 200 RPM. And then of course back to the base frequency at 60 hertz. Should be around 1800 RPM. So programming one of these is actually an adventure. It's not hard or anything. There's just a ton of settings, and knowing which ones to fiddle with for your application is a bit of a mystery. They don't give you like good examples in the book of, hey, if you're doing a machine tool spindle, try these settings or anything like that. You're kind of left to figure it out on your own. It's not too bad. You just kind of have to fiddle with it, I guess. I should go through and write down all the changes I've made, but I'm not even sure all the changes I've made at this point. I need to go back and document that probably. So you can hear the motor sounds really good, of course, at its base frequency. This should settle down at about 1800 RPM. I don't know, my phototac's having a tough time measuring the RPM on this for some reason. Yeah, it should be, that 1800 number is the accurate number, I think, right there. I don't know why it's jumping around so much. If it has to do with the diameter, it's so small it gets confused and tries to double it. But it's about 1800 RPM. And then, of course, we can go all the way up to double the frequency, which is the max constant horsepower for this motor. So the fan gets pretty loud. This will be around 3400 to 3600 RPM. About 3600 I think is accurate. So yeah, that's the max constant horsepower. Double the base frequency. So with the 1:1.5 pulley ratio, that'll be putting out over 5,000 RPM really easily. I'll probably limit it to around 5,000 RPM though. So then eventually I'll wire this up under Mach 3 control with the CNC for PC Bob. It's pretty straightforward. It just goes 0 to 10 volts DC out from the CNC for PC board into the terminals here for analog input. And that'll control those 0 volts DC will correspond to 4 hertz, and 10 volts DC will correspond to 120 hertz, and that'll control the speed. And then there will also be a couple logic control lines for forward, reverse, forward start and reverse start, basically, or forward, reverse, and start and stop. So everything seems to be working pretty well at this point. I'm pretty happy. Got a lot of work to do, ton of work to do. The last thing I'm going to do before I tear the Mikini apart to start doing the wiring and stuff is machine the motor adapter plate. So I've got to do some measurements and do it in SolidWorks, design it in SolidWorks, and then do the cam for it. I'll just keep the RPMs really high on the Mikini so that it doesn't stall out, hopefully, and machine a motor adapter plate to adapt this to the top of the Mikini. So that's probably my next project now that I've got the VFD basically dialed in the way I want it. So that's about it for now. Thanks for watching. More later.